Hey there, it's Bridgerland Dog Off Conscious of Economics. And I just got out of the shower. And so this is part 2. It may be short. I have some clients online in like 25 minutes. But I don't know how long I'm going to be doing part 1, part 2, part 3, of my life, but I'm going to try to get as much of stuff out as possible that, I don't know, maybe important, maybe not. But I realized, like, when I was in the shower, how totally effing pissed off that I still am at Mary Rodwell, who is this, front man, star child, I don't know, investigator, exploiter. And so in 2014 is when I found out that she was what I would consider a fraud. And this is the deal. I may know you're a fraud. I may know what you're thinking, what your intentions are, who you are, because of the signals that I get. In order to have normal relationships, I have to block a lot of those signals because I have to give people a chance. So I give them a second chance. And once they blow that, then, eventually their cover is going to get blown. So I just wanted to explain this because evil people are evil. And there are a lot of evil people in the UFO communities. And I think she's one of them. So, a lot of people will know her by, all these different speaking engagements she does at UFO conferences and stuff like that about star kids. She documents them, videotapes them. And so I don't know. I think it was like 2013 I ran into her information. But it wasn't until 2014 when I actually contacted her. So in 2014, I left Reno. There was just a lot of intense stuff that was going on. And I just couldn't really live where I was living. And so it just kind of came down to the wire that I had to choose. I had to choose to compromise myself and be abused or continue. It always kind of comes down to that crossroad, if you think about it. The moment those crossroads come. But I had been planning to go on this trip for like 6 months because I had heard about Bavado, my native teacher, and I really wanted to go up and do 10 days of ceremony with him and also study with him. And I'm so glad I did it. But what it did was it threw me out in the world because I didn't really have a solid place to go back to in Reno. And so I ended up going on the road. And then if I could work on people along the way to try to make money, to just continue and just see where it was going to go. Well, it ended up like 4 months. It was intense. And there were some really, really awful and intense, good, highest scale of good and the highest scale of evil. And it was just, it was crazy. Yeah. I think it, was one of those 4-month events that almost killed me. But, there was a point where I was in the process of having to travel back across the United States before winter to get back to Reno, and I had no money. And I had no work. And a lot of people that I had relied on in different places and locations that were going to get me some people to work on, or going to have work done by me. And these are people who, have known me. Ow, I have just an owie and I whacked it. Oh, it's a bad. I cut my finger really severely with a knife. So it's still. What? Just hold on. Something going on outside. Okay, so I'm just going to finish this up as part 2. So I'm on the East Coast, they have these crazy corporate toll roads. And you can literally, stay kind of in the parking lots. They have usually a Starbucks coffee and all this other stuff. And you get stuck on them because the only way to travel is on these toll roads. So I was broke. There was no way that I could exit this toll road that I was on. And it was going to be really expensive. And also, I needed money for some food and, things like that. So I'd been kind of camping in this Starbucks parking lot on a toll road highway for about 3 days. Eventually, people helped me. And I don't think that people realize like how serious my situation was. I was being attacked by a demonic entity that I ended up kind of picking up in New York. And there was all this other crazy attachments that were going on. I had to keep defending myself because the whole East Coast and the South is ridden. You have churches with these old graveyards, like in the middle of these towns. So I remember I went into this thrift store to get myself another, like a raincoat, because there was a lot of rain. And there was this huge, like, old graveyard across the street, like, I don't know where it was, like Kentucky or someplace like that. And literally, when I got back in my car, there were like 10 or 15 spirits from that graveyard, like piggybacking. Like, I had to, like, fight them out of my van. So the whole trip was like ridden with a lot of that kind of stuff, like it was just constant. And as I got to the East Coast where I was more vulnerable, and then up into New York, it was like astronomical, like an epic how serious this spirit shit was. So anyway, so 3 days I was in this thing and I'm waiting for my emails and phone calls to go through to see if people could help me get out of there, get on the road, be able to exit the toll roads because I have to pay them like $75 or something like that. And, get back to Reno before it really starts snowing because my van is a rear-wheel drive and I didn't have chains or anything like that. And it's really awful if you have to sleep in your van, like in a major ice storm. Yeah, not good. Okay, so anyway, my mind is also kind of somewhere else because I got an email from a friend of mine. And he kind of said that there's a whole bunch of cops around his condo building where he lives. And there was like even one kind of hiding in the bushes and stuff like that. Kind of scared him a little bit. And, the thing is, like, we just don't really know what's happening between good and evil, the 2D. And we don't know if, some of us are just going to be blatantly murdered or put in jail for no reason because of, our position, or that we're basically, completely and totally awake. So we just have to really be careful and stay out. I have to really be careful and stay out. So he just, sent me an email just saying, if you don't have anything to do, don't do it. Just kick it. And it's the end of the month and, there's a lot more law enforcement out. And the thing is, like, we do nothing bad. We're nothing. Never done anything illegal. Anyway, it's just, who knows who's going to win? Good, bad. Don't know. It's a battle. Not enough people, in the neutral and the balance. Okay, so I email Mary Rodwell I think that's her name. Mary. Bleep, 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 bleep. BICTH, bleep, bleep, bleep. FN, bleep, 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 bleep. And that's how I feel about her. So that's the edited version. You got the edited version. Anytime somebody sends me an email with her speaking on Star Children, I just want to take my computer and bash it against the wall. And anyway, so I contacted her in an email. Well, I'm desperate. I'm in a desperate situation. You know, they murder people like me. Not for just, being a star kid, or they gang stalk us, or they put us in mental hospitals and experiment on us, and NASA kidnaps us. I've had several. That might be something I'll talk about as well. So anyway, I contacted her by email and I just said, hey, look, I'm a star kid. I'm an adult star kid. Came in the second wave. I'm in a rest stop. And I'm in serious need of help. I'm in serious need of help. Do you have any contacts in the United States that I could at least park in their driveway, just so that I can be safe until I can get what I need to move on, to get back to Reno because I have a place to stay, blah, blah, blah. So she emails me back the most condescending, pompous, email that I could ever imagine, and in that email I sent her, I stated I was under assault. I was afraid, terrified. There was just multiple dark energies that were kind of after me and watching me. And just, I just really need to get back to Reno so I could get back into a power spot that I could actually, blow the doors off. So she ends up sending me this email saying, yeah, our organization can't give you any money. I can't give you any money. Mind you, she's a RN who is no longer RN, who decided to be the front man for this UFO people to, exploit, collect data and information on these star kids, like she's the expert. And so then she goes on in the email and says that, I think I'm going to feel it in my throat. I feel like I just want it to explode. And she goes on in the email like, well, we don't have any UFO contacts or people who could shelter you, even park in a driveway or whatever else for a duration of time, blah, 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 blah. And then the last part, she says, all I can offer you is a counseling session. I was actually shocked. I actually had to put my computer down and actually think about it. She has no expert opinion. She was an RN. So now she's trafficking as a psychotherapist for star kids. And the first thing that this, I have voices that talk to me. Sometimes they actually appear. And it's not a schizophrenia thing because, these beings are not human for the most part. They're like extraterrestrial. But anyway, the voice said something like, who in the F does she think she is? Is she is going to counsel you for what? Like, what could she possibly counsel you for? Because her little world, she has this perfect little world. There's nothing really seriously bad. I mean, nothing that could be comparative to anything that I've gone through in my life. And you're going to counsel me? What, is that like some MK Ultra? Like, mind control stuff. You're going to do a real time with me and counsel me. Put me back in my box or conform me or hypnotize me or whatever the hell that you think that you're going to do to me. And after that point in time, I was like, now who's the fraud? Who is the fraud? RN, pretending to be a psychotherapist. God knows, what kind of weapon she's using psychically on us, star kids. And after that, I didn't really want her help. And then anytime anybody would talk to me about her, I would just say, she's a fraud. And it's highly suspicious and extremely dangerous that people are allowing her into their homes to talk to and showcase these star children's abilities. So I'd really like to choke her. Seriously. Because definitely there's something really wrong there. And has been really wrong there. So, yeah, so maybe I'll just talk about the first time I ever saw something. I mean, I've always heard stories about people that are, kind of more of the shamanic ability who are a lot probably like me and my abilities. And I really keep a lid on my abilities. Like I've never, I've lost it once, but I gained control over it. But, I don't lose it because I have a sense of what kind of power could be unleashed. So I think it's in The Hobbit, and Cate Blanche is, I'm not going to get into the MK Ultra, Hollywood, pedophilia, any of that stuff. I'm just talking about a character that came as close to what I feel the potential could be. So, for the good and the bad. And so I think it's in The Hobbit and Gandalf, and then there's the guy who's like Gandalf, who's got, the birds living in his, I just love that. The birds living in his hat. He has bird poop, and I forget what his name is, but Radkin or something like that. I just love that character. Because that's what I'd like to be like just have this, innocent relationship with all the animals and bees and just all of that. But anyway, so they take Cate Blanchett, and I forget, she's like a fairy, powerful, fairy mother, whatever. And they take her to this place, and the dark force exposes itself. She goes from this very light and shimmery and illuminating person to this very dark and green, but she has to get raunchy with her power. And she changes colors, and everything about her changes in her voice. And she basically dispels and casts out this energy as far as she can go. And when I saw that, I was like, that's why I don't lose it. That's why I don't completely lose my cool, that I always try to keep it, in between the lines, in the place of balance. And I have a feeling that, yeah, I could be, extremely dangerous if I had been controlled, dominated, counseled, I was smart enough to listen to the voices leading me and run at every turn, be standing there in that situation with the control mechanism, the people of the control mechanism, the demons, the spirits, the reptoids, all of them. There's that moment where you come in contact with them where everything stands still for just a couple minutes. And you just know that there's something about the situation, right, that is not going to be good. And that's the moment when I feel that stuff slow down as I'm moving towards it. That's when I know it's time to turn about face and run. And I get it a lot. I'll be in town in my van. And right now I'm being trafficked by some woman, Hispanic woman, in a older Mustang that's kind of like really starting to bother me. And I tried to take video footage of her. And when she saw that, she punched it, did 70 and a 30. But these are experiences that I have all the time. And not only do I have to live my life, but I also have to be completely aware of everything going on. The food supply, people trying to harm me or kidnap me, people trying to use me, people trying to harm me, people trying to harm the earth, hijack the earth, all kinds of crazy stuff. So anyway, I've got 3 minutes. So that's part 2. And, as I can do these, I will. I've got a lot of stuff that I actually want to talk about. And some of it might be valuable. Some of it may not be valuable. But I think it's time. I had a sign from when I was a kid. And the only first dream and only dream that I ever had, from the moment I started dreaming to probably age 5. And it was a dream of a apocalyptic world. There were mounds of dead people and snakes. There wasn't any houses, nothing. Everything was burned and killed. And then there was this big red cobra snake. And I was terrified of it in the dreams, but now I realize it's it's one of those higher evolved beings that would come to me in that dream over and over again. And the dream was always the same. That I was running past these giant piles of dead snakes and people in this apocalyptic burn land. And the snake would come out from around the mound. And I'd always think it was going to chase me. And I was always terrified. And then halfway through the dream, I find my uncle. And him and I together, we're like the only ones that make it, and we run. And then I wake up. But I don't remember the snake chasing me. As an adult, I can look back at it symbolically as what it was trying to tell me. And it's interesting because it basically came true. And about 2 months ago, I couldn't find my uncle. We're out of contact, that particular uncle in the dream. And he found me. I just popped up on Facebook. Just out of the blue. It was like him in the dream coming around the corner, and there he was. And then I went up to see him and visit him. So that tells me that something... it was a point in time, and the point in time happened. So I feel like maybe I should talk more kind of openly about some of the things in my life. Because I'm the real deal. And I've never tried to be someone I'm not. And, and I have a lot to say. I have a lot to talk about, good, bad, or indifferent. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project. Virgil and Dolgoff, Part 2. All right, bye-bye.